Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy Heroes. This is Grand Arena, first match of the final week, season 36. And unfortunately, I am starting this week off in Kyber 3. I was hoping and expecting to get to Kyber 2, but my opponent at the end of last week set down one really tough defense that I couldn't punch through, but my defense was able to stall him out as well. He put way too much down and did not have enough offense to handle the problems that I gave him. But that means we don't get to see what my roster does up against those Kyber 2 challenges now that I have Dr. Aphra and Jabba unlocked and added to my roster. This week, Jabba is at Relic 7, so I can use that Datacron before it expires. Aphra, though, only at Gear 11, but I did set down that Omicron. And we begin with a quick recap of how the defense performed. We want to look for any trends to see if that's going to alter how we play and if the strategies that I've been using have been effective. One of those things being Jabba on defense, because I didn't have the ultimate. He was only at Gear 12, couldn't use the Datacron, and I knew he wasn't going to do anything because I've been testing him out in Squad Arena and been underperforming. But what I want him to do is draw out a GL, and he has been doing his job the entire time. No one has attempted to take something weaker up against him. Now, he used Lord Vader up against Jabba, JMK taking out Melgus, his Padme tripped up by my Qui-Gon. Rest of this is more straightforward, taking an overpowered JML team up against Mon Mothma. His Inquisitors losing to Raddus, but he interestingly used a Ninth Sister lead. I don't remember all the different effects that the different leaderships have, so maybe that was a smart move. I just kind of like Fifth Brother as a default leader in most cases. It's a pretty good universal leadership, so I don't bother with these other situations, especially when these leaderships tend to be they tend to be Jedi related. Now, I think the way Ninth Sister works, because I've used it in Conquest and I think in Galactic Chase or Galactic Challenges, is it allows Purge to land more readily. That may have been what he was thinking, but I think what you lose is more than what you gain. Crew losing to Iden, cleaning it up with Wampa, Bossk not being able to handle Raddus, Executor winning the mirror, Negotiator losing it, cleaning up with the Malevolence, and then this just trash Holdo's squad that I have on defense. That it was more so that I could test out my Empire's ships, which I'm satisfied now. We did that last 2 weeks. Second round, Nihilus with, I'm assuming, the Traya Omicron up against Melgus. I've tested this myself. I think at high enough relics, I think it can win, but it's a gamble at lower relics in Gear 12, and I have it at Gear 12. SLKR up against Jabba, Gas, losing to Melgus but making a lot of progress. Starkiller losing to Maul. Wampa, JKR, Grievous, Sith Eternal cleaning up the Maul. Padme failing the cleanup on Melgus. And the rest of this is pretty straightforward. This is the match I won, though. He attempts Finalizer up against Executor. That's a little risky, but maybe he was planning on taking it a cleanup, and I think that is what happened. He just did it in a little different order. Probably wanted to see how his Empire did up against the Negotiator before using his Malevolence, just in case the Empire up against the Negotiator didn't go well. Okay, in the final round here. This one, you can see from the banner total, we both stalled out. He attempted Gas, Sith Eternal Emperor taking out Jabba, Darth Revan with Mon Mothma, CLS up against Maul. That I've tried doing that. It depends on the Maul. There's a lot of variables that can come into play, and I've added Beskar Mando, and that can get really annoying because the problem with CLS is you're just jumping around to all the different taunts, and you might not take anyone out before they start healing up on their turns. You really need to overpower them early and fast. Troopers up against the First Order fails, probably because it's not a real stormtroopers or a trooper squad. It's got Thrawn and Tarkin. He would have been better off with a full set of troopers, and he probably would have won. Interesting. Malevolence losing to the Negotiator. And then Bossk here losing to Dash, and then he only attempted that one battle, and then he was done. He was ahead on banners at that point. I think he may have just given up as well. With this week's bracket, my opponent to start the week is Yoba. He has a slightly smaller overall GP. Zeta's just slightly behind mine, but these days that doesn't matter as much. A little light on the Omicron, tied for, along with 3 others, with the lowest Amis. The highest is at 12, or I'm the highest actually at 14, and then there's a 13 and a 12. GL wise, he has 6 GLs, that's tied for the most in the bracket. Relic units, no one is really scary. 125 is actually the highest, so he does have the most relics of the bracket. 109, 94, 118. This is kind of what's more typical of Kyber 3. What we were saying last week was way tougher, so we should have an easier time this week. The depth of the players, for the most part, pretty shallow, but my opponent again has some of the better numbers in this bracket. We'll take a quick glance at this, because we had a couple opponents last week, especially match 1 of last week, where I just had an opponent with some absurd relic distribution. I had a bunch of relic 9s, relic 8s, and I just couldn't. It messed up a lot of my counters that usually work. Now, 6-dot mods, my opponent and I are tied for the top 25 average of plus 25.48, and that is also, we are tied for second in the bracket. There's a guy off screen at 25.84. With the top 500, I lead by a ton with an average of plus 16.6. My opponent's not bad though. He's kind of right in the middle of the pack along with everybody else. This Jobin guy is the worst. With the counts, his counts are respectable. Not as good as mine, but on the top end, very solid. 50 or so behind me in the 20 plus, and 110, 120-ish behind on the 15 plus. With Datacrons, he is not observing Datacrons, so that is going to give us a pretty strong advantage. The guy with the strongest Datacron set is this guy Guillaume. You can see his counts are pretty high, pretty comparable to my own. My level 9 Datacrons, I can only really use 2 of them. I have the Aphra one ready to go, but she's not at relics. This Jabba one we can use. It is expiring after the end of this month, so this is our final week of Grand Arena where we actually even get to use it at all. The other Datacron I have is just a redundant Inquisitor Datacron, which I can only use the one, except in 3v3 we can actually use both. Now with the rest here, with the GLs, I am the only player with Jabba. Only 3 players with a Lord Vader. That is low for a bracket that we've been seeing lately. Everyone has JMK, everybody but 2 have JML. Usually not how it goes. There's usually everyone with JML. Now, Sith Eternal Emperor, me and another guy, me and Guillaume, don't have Sith Eternal. 3 players with Rey, and everybody but me has SLKR. With the rest, this is interesting. Let me, I got another thing pulled up here where I can show you the contrast. So this is a little bit smaller, but this gives you an idea of how many players are missing major characters. So we'll make this big again in a second, but you can see 1 player without Melgus, 3 without a usable Iden, a couple players without Raddus, so a few players without Profundity, several players without Starkiller. You can see a lot of people not engaging with the Omicrons, especially the Savage Omicron. This is notably worse than the bracket we saw last week, which looked kind of like a Kyber 2 bracket, which makes me feel a little bit better about going 1 and 2. But here we'll look again in detail so you can see how my opponent measures up against the rest of the pack. So he does have the Profundity he does not have Starkiller, not using an Iden, and you can see he's lacking Omicrons on Traya, Savage. Those are Amis you can put on at Gear 11. You're not going to get as much out of it, but it's still going to be plenty usable. I'm the only player with Aphra, and we're going to see what she does with that Omicron, but in Squad Arena, she can take out a Darth Revan squad, so that kind of gives you a gauge of where that Gear 11 Aphra is going to land for me. And there are 3 players with Ben Swallow, only 4 players with a Relic Maul. That is interesting. Yeah, this is a very favorable bracket for me. And in terms of the Profundity, wait, what? Am I seeing this right? I'm the only guy with a Profundity? All right. Yeah, if I don't go 3-0 this week, that's going to look real bad. Taking a look at the hotbot for Yoba, you can see from the big view, I've got a lot of advantages. That was reflected in what we were seeing. But he's still one of the better accounts in this bracket, so we still have to respect what he's going to be setting down. And I think he set down a strong defense. It is a little, we'll talk about that as we get through this. So as we're progressing through here, the relic distribution is one of the things I want to look at. He has a lot of relic 8s, a good amount of relic 7s, but he's not too top heavy. We've seen worse. The other thing I want to see is undersizes and clears. This is favorable. It shows very low participation. He may not play at all, or he might just do a couple battles. I actually didn't look at his history. I've been pretty busy with work, so the normal prep that I usually do, I just had to table that. So we're going in blind. It's actually midnight where I'm at, so hopefully I don't do dumb things. I tend to do a lot of dumb things when I play late. Now, with the rest of this, you can see some pretty bad mods here. 495 on Ray. It doesn't matter on Scythe Eternal Emperor as much. That's not atypical of a Scythe Eternal Emperor. This isn't as bad, but I've got some advantages. That's the slowest cat I've seen in a while. Alright, let's take a look at his speeds in detail. Now, let's jump in here. Now, Yoban. He does have a lot of GLs though, so that does help him out a lot. With his speeds, I think, was Echo at 302, I think? So his Echo is 302, yeah. So he has 13 characters above 300 speed. His Yoda's at 299. So that just gives you an idea here of all the characters who are falling below that threshold, who you really want to have a lot faster, like the Raddus, the Dash, Han, Cat, Darth Revan. Like, there's a lot of important characters here who are modded very poorly. Oh, he has Grand Inquisitor. That's interesting. But that's what I'd like to look at here, is just how well modded are these characters. It's not always the quantity, but also which ones. And he has an extremely fast gas squad, basically, outside of his GLs, and a good Revan. Now his defense, actually my defense first. We made some slight changes, nothing major. This nonsense Newt team, this is just a placeholder until Admiral Trench appears. Probably shouldn't even be doing it. But things are going to be changing when he comes to the game. Django is probably going to be joining this squad. Watt is going to be lost. And that means relying on these characters is just not going to be necessary. I'm expecting to put that team on defense. Maybe it'll be better as an offensive team. Grievous, because I don't have it at relics, I really need to. It's a weapon that, like last week, you saw how Starkiller stalled me out. Having Grievous as an option would have been great, but I can't use this type of Grievous squad up against it. It's not good enough. Or maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I should test that out. Mon Mothma and the First Order squad that somehow got a hold last week. I was hoping the Ami and Sith Trooper relic would be enough to just trip up some opponents. Hasn't really happened. They're just filler. Now we got Qui-Gon. This team gets me my most holds. They very consistently trip up opponents. We got Melgus, Jabba, and then Maul. This is another team that I've had on offense, but without Django, I'm not going to want to use him there as much because it's pretty important to a lot of those counters. And if that happens, we'll be swapping out somebody in here to take over Django's slot once Admiral Trench is available, and then it'll be more of a nuisance squad on defense. So I'm more prepping my offensive strategy for that future, so when it happens, I'm ready for it. Got Raddus, Dash, and Iden. I actually wanted to change my Iden squad. I forgot about it. Smorgas on the Discord, who actually was a former opponent as well. He was a solid opponent. He showed me an Iden squad that has been tripping up his opponents consistently and stopping Wampa counters, so I want to be trying that out. With Thrawn here, I brought him back to defense because I need somebody to get holds again. Because we used to stall out my opponents all the time, and this week we should with fleets. And since I've been testing out Scythe, TIE Defender, those Empire ships, we haven't been getting holds. Now up above here we got Lord Vader, Shaak Ti, Mon Mothma, and Bossk. Those are manageable. Down below here, we've got Rey, Geos, JMK, Grievous. So really we've got the GLs plus dealing with some fairly manageable teams. So I think the way we're going to play it is we're going to do Starkiller, Rey, and I'm going to attempt Inquisitors up against Kenobi. But that comes down to modding, and my opponent does have weak modding, so we might get away with it. And because I've done it in Squad Arena, and I don't know, maybe 40% win rate. It's not good, but maybe mods will help us out this time. Because otherwise, I can try my JML, but I really don't like doing JML versus JMK, especially up against these Relic 8 characters. My GLs are still at Relic 7. So I really need to use my JMK up against that Lord Vader. And then if we use JML for cleanup, other things, like if Grand Inquisitor can take out somebody, that'd be great. Let's get started. I also need to fix my presets. Because last week we had a game where I was playing tired, and I completely messed up an SOKR counter, the JKR JKL counter, by putting in the wrong leader. Now that I have Dr. Aphra and Jabba unlocked, first thing will be Aphra to Relic 7, but then it's characters like Visas, getting them built up so my counters actually can be reliable, because this is a gamble. The odds aren't terrible, but I'm still gambling here. Alright, let's do a little of that. We'll throw the AoE, get some staggers around, and now we're going to get to work on Rey. How are those staggers doing? And we're going to AoE just to trigger those staggers. I don't want anyone taking turns while I'm getting to work. I am going to do this on the Shatterpoint because I want to call Starkiller for the assist so we can get some extra stacks. And now we'll get back to work on Rey. Yeah, let's get defense penetration up. Alright, she's fallen below. I'm going to start hitting Finn. Awesome. We're going to basic because I want the assist calls. I'm just thinking about who I want to be using. Okay. Could have been worse, not terrible. Let's basic. I was a little concerned about the turn meter, but let's not waste an opportunity. Here we go. Awesome. Alright, we're good. But this was the easier gamble. And it's not really that much of a gamble. We're winning we're probably winning 75% of the time. And this guy's mods aren't great. The one that, I gotta take care of this. Okay. When we are losing, it's up against opponents with good mods and Datagron games. Alright, now for the gamble. Let's see here. Inquisitors. It's one of the reasons I got out of the habit of the preset squads is because managing it sometimes is a hassle, updating squads all the time, but it's just sometimes with squads like the Inquisitors here, it's just easier and faster to go to the faction and select them than it is to just slowly scroll up and up and up trying to find the squad you're going for. But there's squads where, like Starkiller is a squad you should use a preset for. And Aphra is going to be one that I'll be using the preset for. Because if you're jumping between factions. Alright. Good luck to me. The other thing I'm worried about here is the Relegate Kenobi. Because we really need to burn through him quickly. And it might take some time because we need to take him out twice, essentially. Because he's gonna be saved. And he has the potential to clear all the debuffs. Alright, there goes the torture. I was kind of hoping we would have had more progress. Okay, this should be 1. Okay, here's another torture. Okay, he's down. Let's hit the ability block on Ahsoka. I almost want to hit Jedi Ahsoka because of where her health is at, but we're gonna not get distracted. She's not the threat. Okay. This is a win. But what you're seeing here, this is mods. If you want to see me lose one, I did it last week. The 36.2.3 match, I believe, we didn't get the luck we needed. That guy was tough. Alright, what do we want to do here? See, lately, I keep needing to find new Geo counters because one, the Vader Datacron made it where it was a waste. Then I started using Vader again after the Datacron expired because it's a solo. And then now Vader, I'm probably going to be using the Dr. Aphra at least until we get more relic characters or relic droids to possibly throw in there. But Vader doesn't really have a home anymore with Pelps with Starkiller. And so that means my Vader solo, which I like doing up against Geos, I'm not going to do anymore if we're using him with Aphra. So then what am I using here? Because Traya is a waste now. I kind of just want to have good Jawas. I kind of want to throw my Jawas at that right now. Because Wampa's there's so many squads now that it's just a waste to use them up against Geos. Alright, let's see here. We got IG-88, we got all this nut. You know what we're going to do? I know what we're going to do. Something we haven't done in a real long time. Because this is a cheap squad that we don't need to worry about. Maybe he had Qui-Gon. If there's Qui-Gon, we can probably JML it at this point. Yeah, I think we're going to just talk nonsense this match because I don't know if there's going to be much to learn here. So I'm wearing a coat right now because I can't play with the heater on because it's noisy. It's this wall unit and stuff. And I feel a little ridiculous wearing a coat indoors in Southern California, especially me being a Michigander. Like, I was born in the cold. I was raised in it, molded by it. And here I am wearing a coat indoors so I can be comfortable while I play this. I was shopping for fingerless gloves the other day. Like that's how soft I've gotten living in this place. Like I don't know, you'd have to be my age to even know the reference, but there's this Baz Luhrmann song when I was like in high school, where they took like this Ann Landers column and turned it into a song, and for whatever reason it was, I don't know why I'm saying for whatever reason it was a hit. There's weird songs were hits back then, like Shaggy, It Wasn't Me. Like, I've gone back and thought about it and listened to that song. It is bizarre that song was a hit. I'm fascinated by it. It's a terrible, terrible song. Like, the beat is like, not even lyrically, I'm just, like, musically, it is awful. It was a gigantic hit. That's one thing about music these days, is like the production values are on a completely different level. It's so much better. Yeah, so there's that Ann Landers song before we got on that Shaggy, It Wasn't Me tangent, where there was the lyrics in it were live in New York but leave before you get hard, and live in California but leave before you get soft. And I've been here too long. I did not leave because it's easy living. But I've paid for it. I've acclimated to this place. All right, we're gonna do a small gamble, but it's a small gamble. We're gonna bad batch this. This should be fine. Gear 11. This was one of my old school counters we would just do all the time. I love how well this squad punches up. It's a little. This is the first time I think we faced it against IG88 though. Maybe he'll do some. Does he have a Zeta? I didn't pay attention if he had a Zeta on. Okay, he has the Zeta. Maybe he has two Zetas. I think maybe it's just one. But the Zeta, I think, is going to affect whether or not buffs land. So we actually probably want to take him out first. Because I think if you have target lock, you can't gain buffs. Or that might be IPDs. I forget who's who. Let's throw this thing, target practice, on him. Let's call in tech. There's a hit. I'm a little terrified. Don't die, don't die, don't die. We're gonna die. We're not getting our turn soon enough. We're gonna keep Echo alive. It's terrible. We part of the reason we're losing this is because of how poorly modded this guy was. Don't die on me, man. This isn't gonna happen. No, he's gonna AoE. Or that. Yeah, it's over now. Okay. Alright, we're gonna clean this up with a counter we don't use, or we won't use too much in the future. I keep meaning to put the Amis on Ackbar Leia, but every time I do my gearing I forget about it. That is not what I'm trying to click on. Alright, I want Fulcrum. Who are we going to use with this anymore? Oh, that's right, Wedge and stuff. I threw them on that other stuff. Do I want the turn meter? Let's do that. I'm actually kind of surprised how rarely I see Ackbar Leia. I mean, it is double Amis. And yeah, I do think you do need both, because I've gone up against versions where it's only one, and it's not a threat. That's why I brought him. Okay, there we go. That's my favorite cheap counter that will no longer be cheap once they have Amis. That was one I figured out on accident. Long time ago in like the old Grand Arena days. You put your Grand Inquisitor on defense, huh? We already dealt with that last week, so I know how to deal with it. That's just Traya. Traya handles this easy. You can do it fine with these. I am going to use my Savage here. It's this nice security blanket. Maybe I should double check this though. I'm pretty sure this is what we want to do. Started reading the Kanan comics. No thoughts on it yet. I just started. Not far enough to really have any thoughts, but that's what is on the reading list. Behind on Bad Batch, really I'm just watching Last of Us, and Last of Us also just made me get back to watching The Walking Dead. I'm just getting caught up on that series because I like zombies. I don't think I watched anything else. Maybe we should have put the Isolate over on Nine Sister. That may have been the better idea. I don't want to take out that. Was it a revive Datacron? Let's just do it. It's not like there's any risk of losing. We'll have another Annihilate coming up. Also, I don't think Second Sister should be on this squad. Alright, we get our hate. God, I love Scion. I love Scion so much. Scion, that was the character where like I had finally started getting good at the game and understanding how to play, how it worked. Like, when I started playing, like, I didn't even understand how the legendary events worked. And not understanding the cycle or the calendar of like when the Yoda event would come back, when the Palpatine event would come back, what characters to even work on, and just constantly not being prepared for all those events as they cycled through. All right, I can probably beat these with my troopers, can't I? Also, we want to have some fun too. We'll figure out some fun teams. Oh, I want to test stuff. Okay, all right. We should have been testing earlier. All right, I forgot about Lord Vader. At this point, we're just going to JMK it. We're not even going to mess with Fennec. You can have Shaak T. Let's find some stats. It's not awful. I like that protection armor. That might be good for... We're going to do Tuskens up against this Mon Mothma because it's a weaker Mon Mothma squad. And because some of what they're going to do effectively is what the troopers do. So Tuskens should theoretically do decently up against Mon Mothma. So we got Chieftain, but he has 3 stars. We do have relics on 1. Now for this final slot, who wants to be here? Who's a nice friend to put with you? I don't know. Who wants to hang out with you guys? Let's just put in Boba Fett, Sign of Jango. I know it's not... He doesn't count as a Tusken without... Unless it's 3v3 and all the conditions on that. But it's just... We need to throw in somebody. Okay. Because they should still... They're still going to get momentum and get some of this stuff. Okay, let's get the protection up. Okay, so we're getting some dots going on. I'm concerned about our damage output right now. Okay. Let's do protection up again. We'll get momentum going on Scion. I almost feel like we gotta auto. What do we have here? At 6 stacks we get what? Yeah, let's do tenacity down. Nice. That'll help with the dots. Don't die on me, Tusken Chieftain. Okay, protection up. Yeah. Okay. Come on. Come on, yes. Okay. Okay. That was kind of awesome. Maybe we should go after one of these weak guys, like Qira. Okay, we get what here? More damage, tenacity down, potency down, breach, versus this we get tenacity up. Okay, the second special. Second special. Okay. We need an auto. This is going pretty well, all things considered, but I am concerned about the clock. Oh, this is just awesome. I'm loving this. Alright, we get tenacity down. I'm a little concerned about my Mothma taking turns. Although all the stunning is affecting our momentum stacks. See, that I didn't want. We just gotta... Alright, I needed to hit auto a long time ago. Alright, come on, take out Baze. Do it. We're ignoring Kyle Katarn. He's not the threat. The threat in this is Qira. Ooh, that's kind of scary. Come on. You know what? We're wasting time. It's all the health, healing over times. Yeah. All right. It's over. The dream is dead. I almost wanted it to time out. There's something there. I think even just a couple more stars, or maybe me hitting auto sooner. I liked what I saw. Let's just womp with this. Actually, that's an easy Mon Mothma squad. Maybe we don't want to do that yet. Alright, where do we want to test out Aphra? So Aphra. Bad? I kind of want to... If my mods were better, the Bad Batch I'm very tempted by. You know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do Shaak T. No, that's a bad idea because the droids are going to do bad up against them. And they're going to be fast. I'm confident they're going to beat bounty hunters. I feel like the best challenge is either Dash or Bad Batch. And I'm just concerned with Dash is just like one AoE is going to wipe out my Aphra. So let's do this. And let's remind myself what this Omicron even does. Because I have no idea. I just put it on. So Droid and Dark, we get avoidance, speed, potency. Okay, so with the extra speed we probably are okay, but I have not made her fast enough. Because like, this is just like whatever mods I had. So you can see it's terrible. So that's actually not going to be fast enough. Maybe Vader will be. And we know at least his Echo is fast enough. Okay, we're okay. Okay, let's do this. It's just some of the functionality of Aphra is not really going to come into play until she's at relics. Like the way she affects mastery and all that. With the siphon. Well, this is a safe win. We've already won. Awesome. I thought this might have been a little risky. And we crushed it. Just crushed it. Awesome. Because I do not have the Kairos to take her to relics. We'll be able to do it by the 3v3 season, but yeah. Let's have fun with Hondo. Actually, we know Hondo can win this because we've done it before. Oh, we have so much testing to do. Let's we're gonna do Sana. Even though we've shown this plenty of times, but because I have multiple unrelict characters here, I still just want a little bit more data to prove out Even though this is a weaker Mon Mothma squad. See, I'm not... We're gonna do this ability first, because we do need to be under stealth. It's just I feel like the second special, that's where all the target lock synergy is. I guess that's some of it too. Leave her alone. This is a waste of time right now. Okay. We're going to take out Mon Mothma from AoEs probably pretty soon. We don't want to do stagger right now. We need Cara Dune to take her turns to get rid of the potency up. Oh, let's do it now. We have to take her out now before it gets annoying again. Okay, good. Let's do Hondo. I feel like this is a proper challenge for Hondo. So Qira. Alright, we'll throw capture on Shaak T, because 5s will be taunting soon enough anyway. Let's call the assist on Hondo. Okay, there we go. Still gotta be careful. Yeah, stay focused there. Oh, you know what? This was a terrible idea. This was an awful, awful idea. I'm just going to get Rexalated. Yep. Wish I would have remembered that before the battle. Okay. I deserve that. This is why I don't like to play after midnight. It's 1 a.m. now. And it's those lapses in judgment. Here. We're gonna maybe we shouldn't Zorii Bliss this. We're gonna attempt it. This is a little foolish, but we're still gonna do it. Because I want to see what and how these guys can punch up against. He's going to cleanse anyway. Let's maybe... Maybe we get lucky. Buff immunity. Okay, nice. Can we stun? Awesome. Awesome. Let's hit the expose. Let's hit the exposes if we got them. All right. We'll go here. This is a nice result. The only thing is there's no Zam Ami, and the amount of times you don't see a Zam Ami these days is pretty rare. So it's not terribly useful. But I'm happy to see them perform like this. I wish that Tusken Chieftain would have come through for me. That was looking nice. We've done all the fun testing, right? Are we done? There's nothing else. Yeah, we're just gonna blow this stuff up now. Blow it up and be done with it. That's nice. Awesome. You guys don't stand a chance. Relegate Han is nice. All right. Okay. I'm just gonna JML this and be done with it. I'm done. We're done having fun. I'm just gonna overpower things. Why am I playing this? Let's just auto. We can have fun again with fleets. That's one thing we can do. I can't even go to sleep after that. I gotta shave and stuff. I don't do that in the morning. Got a meeting in the morning. Really, I shouldn't be awake right now. It's just I know I'm not going to be able to play after or in the morning. So it's got to be now or never. something like this might work as a leftover fleet. It still has a lot of the key ships, but we don't have a tank, which is the only thing I don't like. But maybe I'll add some gear to the gauntlet, get a little faster. But what I like is we can get protection up and make ourselves a little bit more survivable. Yeah, let's get some buff immunity. That'll be helpful up against this fleet. since buffs is how they affect the cooldowns on their ultimate. Sure. Awesome. So yeah, this is killing it. See, like, this isn't going to work up against, like, the Executor or the Profundity, but it's going to work up against a lot of other ships. And that still allows us to have a decent Chimera on defense. And that's all I really want. How is this Ebon Hawk so tanky? Alright, we done. If he does something notable, I'll tag on his response. But I'm expecting minimal participation based on his hotbot profile. So if you don't see me tack on anything from here, it's because it wasn't worth highlighting. And we will wrap it up there. I gotta go get prepared for a meeting now that I have in the morning, because I don't want to do it in the morning. I am not a morning person. But thank you for watching. Be safe out there, everyone. Be excellent to each other. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.